My name's James. I work for an indoor farming company called Let Us Grow. I was a student at the University of Bristol here, where I studied geology and graduated back in 2018. Let Us Grow developed technology which enables us to grow food indoors. We use a method called aeroponics. And my role within Let Us Grow is to get those vertical farms and indoor farms into the right people's hands. So it's quite a niche area where a vertical farm isn't suitable for everyone. And my role is to work with people to assess whether it's viable and whether they're able to build a business themselves. Well, yeah, I actually wanted to be an astronaut when I was younger. So if one day we do grow food in space, it will come full circle. But it wasn't something that I always wanted to do. I think what my course taught me was a lot about the environment and particularly how complex and delicate the Earth systems are and the environment is. And that really inspired me to want to do something sustainable and something that was good for the planet. So after I graduated, I got into an environmental consultancy role where I worked for a big company here in Bristol. The problem that I found with it was that I was very much a small cog in a big machine, and although I really wanted to make an impact with some of the businesses that I was working with, that wasn't necessarily reciprocated, and it would be a tick box exercise for them to do the bare minimum rather than really doing what's good and making an impact. So I did feel a little bit disheartened and took some time away. I went traveling and taught English out in Greece for a couple of years, and then when I returned, I came across Let Us Grow through a friend who actually set up the Innovative Agricultural Society. He was actually on my course doing geology. He made me aware of Let Us Grow and what they were doing, and it just sounded like it was perfect for me. It's a small company where they're doing a really cool, innovative technology, and since then it's been great for me because your voice is heard and everyone's pulling in the same direction, so it really feels like we're making a big impact. Vertical farming is quite an alien concept to a lot of people. A lot of people are familiar with traditional horizontal farming, but as soon as you stack it up, people don't really know what you're talking about. So a lot of my role is explaining this quite complicated technology to the average person. And a lot of what you're doing in a science degree is similar. And with geology, you're talking about quite complex Earth systems and having to present it in simple terms. So that whole idea of explaining a complex theory or a complex technology in the simplest of terms for people to understand. A friend that I met that was on my course set up a society called the Food Security and Innovative Agriculture Society. And through the society, it gave me exposure to some of the projects that were happening here in Bristol. So there was a community container farming project called Grow Bristol down towards Temple Meads. And we were able to do tours around there, and that got me introduced to hydroponics and how you can grow things in urban environments in not a lot of space. And that really inspired me, seeing what they were doing there. The biggest problem that I faced was that I left university without any idea what I wanted to do, and I felt very lost in the sense of how I was going to forge my career path when a lot of my friends knew exactly what they wanted to do. I think knowing what you don't like is almost as important as what you do like, and I ended up doing a bunch of different things and eliminating the stuff that I didn't like and trying to really capitalize on the things that fulfilled me and gave me a lot of enjoyment. That's sort of how I ended up in vertical farming and working for this startup, was because I realized that I really liked doing stuff where I was making an impact and that I felt was ethically fulfilling. So I'm actually really grateful that I ended up doing those things that I didn't like, because it's really shone a light on the things that I do like, and I've ended up in an amazing company which is really fulfilling, and I feel like I'm making an impact. I think you're often surrounded by people and taught that there's a system where one thing leads to the other, which leads to the other. And for a lot of people, I don't think that's necessarily the case. In actual fact, what the best thing to do is just chill out, find what you enjoy, and the rest will fall into place.